We're excited you're all able to join us today. And welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
We've got a great lineup today. My name is Dean Schaefer. I am a principal technical consultant with Adaptivist, but I am really passionate around community and building events like these where we get amazing people to come in and share the amazing things that they've done with their products, like Backbone Issue Sync, and the love and the passion they've poured into this stuff that allows them to take some of the tools that we all use on a daily basis, i.e. Atlassian, to new levels. And that's really where the importance of sharing this information is, because we just don't have the time to master everything. And so sessions like this kind of give us those aha moments. I think I know where I can put a use to this in place. So welcome to App Hour. This is our officially second edition. I'm very pleased to announce that K15T is in the house. We have Umer and Lizette, who are kindly going to present to us three use cases where Backbone Issue Sync has been used within three companies and saved those companies time and money and really made things an easy win. So Umer and Lizette, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Yeah. Thank you, Dean. As Dean has already mentioned, my name is Umar. I'm the product marketing manager at K15T. Primarily for Backbone. I also dip into some other side projects, troublemaking projects here and there. And I've been there for 3 years and excited to be part of this session. I'm joined by my colleague Lizette. Lizette, you want to say a couple of words?
Yep. So hi guys, I'm Lisette. I'm the product manager of Backbone Issue Sync. I've been here for over 5 years. Also, if you ever have any questions about Backbone, it is pretty likely that you see my name again. So always feel free to reach out. And yeah, excited to talk about Backbone.
Superb. We also have tonight a special appearance, a surprise appearance, because it was scheduled a little bit late. But Benjamin Lenz from one of the customers' stories that we're going to be featuring tonight, that features Kumavision, the company, and he's a Jira system architect. And we're thank you very much, Benjamin, for being here tonight. And I know it's a little bit late from where you work. So really, really grateful for that. And in case you have any questions about how Kumavision works, how they're using Jira, you can always ask Benjamin, and hopefully he'll answer at the Q&A session at the end. Benjamin, do you want to add a couple more words, or did I cover most things?
I think you covered everything important, and you can continue, and we can keep the questions for the last part.
Perfect. Okay. I guess, Dean, you've already covered App Hour, right? You don't.
Yeah,
You
and just on top, App Hour really is for all of us, right? It's a designed to build the community and to make sure that all of us are kind of helping each other out, right? We as a society need to kind of circle back around to the idea of how communities work and how we help each other. And especially in the tech industry, it changes so fast. We can't be on top of everything all the time. So it's these kind of things. It's the Atlassian communities. It's, our friends at K15T who we can go to and ask them for questions and help. And it's all of us pulling together to make sure that our companies and our clients and our friends and family win when we're implementing or kind of using these tools. So, yeah, thank you again for K15T for coming in and sharing your awesome ideas with us. And Ben, thank you for joining us to share, your story and how Backbone Issue Sync has saved you and your clients and your business.
you. Let's get started. As we have seen already in the chat, but you're here perhaps because you're a Jira admin, as many of you are, and you're trying to improve collaboration across different departments and organizations, and you're curious about how other teams are collaborating on Jira. Or maybe you're an Atlassian partner or a consultant and who's looking for some new ideas about how to work better and how to create better projects for your clients and optimize them. Or perhaps you're a project or product manager as well, who's looking for ways to save time and money and effort in your job. and for your organization. Whoever you are, I am happy that you're here tonight, and let's have some fun. So just a background before we get into it. So I'm sure you're all of us have been part of Jira projects, and we're prioritizing pressing tasks and managing stakeholders' turns into a bit of a juggling act. And keeping everyone informed and organized can get tricky. This is where Jira comes in. And I always think of Jira as this super organized friend in the group who knows everything that needs to be done and who wants to do it at what time. It's like a giant to-do list that everybody has access to. But even this super organized friend needs a hand every once in a while. So collaborating within Jira is easy, but what do you do, or how do you collaborate if you have to work across different Jira instances? You either have to jump across different projects or manually copy paste issues or updates, or use some sort of Jira scripts or automation. This concept is where how we have built this webinar and how do you work and solve these problems. But before we dive into it, I like to use a little bit of analogy to explain the problems that most of us have faced. Just a disclaimer that I'm a bit of a history buff as well, and obviously a Jira enthusiast. So I'll try to combine the two today and just give a quick story, I suppose. So imagine, let me cue the music. Yes, there we go. So imagine you're a knight in charge of a booming medieval empire, and you got your first castle. That's your Jira instance. It's perfectly organized, and you're running like a well-oiled machine. Life's good, your empire is growing, and you've got a second castle now, another Jira instance. So second Jira instance, and with plans to conquer more lands and grow even further. But running and expanding an empire and communicating between the castles is a little bit of a challenge, and you soon realize it. Your enemy, those are the deadlines and deliverables for all the Jira admins and product managers. It's trying to fight back and get that castle back. So you need to send reinforcements and communication and instructions to your second castle. So for example, to tell them that the left tower is on fire, and that's a critical bug report, or maybe send over some more mulled wine. That's probably a feature request. But how do you get your message delivered from one castle to another before the enemy arrives? The initial mode of delivery usually are carrier pigeons at that time. And for us, in this case, for Jira admins, it's akin to using maybe email or spreadsheets to convey messages across Jira instances. Unfortunately, these aren't your average well-trained pigeons as well. These pigeons are more like these some bumbling buffoons who get distracted by shiny objects and frequently take wrong turns and are very inefficient. When comparing with emails and spreadsheets, they have similar issues. So pigeons get distracted and they don't give updates in real time. So emails also get lost in inboxes, and there's no way to trace it. So once the pigeon is released, there's no way to track its progress, and we don't know whether the pigeon or the email arrived or it got distracted by some bits of breadcrumb along the way. The second way to communicate between the castles is by using horseback messengers. And this is akin to using manually copy pasting issues across Jira instances. These messengers ride between the two castles and across the kingdom and carry the scrolls of information copied from the royal ledger, that's the Jira issues, obviously, and then bring it back manually. Unfortunately, these horses are old and the scribes are tired and the ink pots are leaky. And so the compared with manual copy pasting is also, the parallels are quite clear. It's very labor intensive. So you have to make the journey back and forth between the castles, and you need dedicated Jira admins to do this. And can get cumbersome. It's also expensive because you have to buy an extra license on the other side, as similarly, having a stable of horses or a bunch of messengers is expensive. And it's error prone. So a simple request for more arrows might become more artichokes by the time it reaches the other castle. That's a very common problem that we see when you're manually copying, pasting. Another very common way to work across instances is, or in our case, between classes, is using signal lights. So this could be like 3 flashes for enemy sighted, or 2 short ones for we are out of mulled wine, again, because priorities. So this is similar to using Jira automations to sync Jira issues and data. The problems are also quite similar. So it's very complex to set up, and you need a person fluent in Morse code. So probably you need someone as a Jira admin who knows Jira automation and how to work with APIs. And there's a lot of maintenance overhead. So keeping a signal light working requires constant maintenance and vigilance because they frequently break down, and there's limited flexibility. So the signal light system can only transmit predefined messages, and it's not very flexible. But fear not, we have a new way to communicate across your kingdom or your castles, and that's we'll cover in the session tonight, introducing Backbone Issue Sync. That will take you from the medieval era of project management straight into the 23rd century. So we have actually skipped a couple of centuries because it's that good. And so you're going to be going from pigeons to teleportation, let's say, of your messages in real time. This is exactly the story of 3 customers covered in the session. So we went from medieval era to the future of project management. First one we have is MIG Customs, who operates in a highly regulated industry and struggle to maintain real-time customer communication. Second customer features Arvato Systems. It's part of the Bertelsmann Group, and who have dozens of Jira software and JSM projects, and they wanted to move tickets between them, but that was a challenge for them. And finally, we have Kumavision, as I earlier mentioned, and they're a global ERP leader, and they also struggle to manage complex projects for a growing number of enterprise clients. And traditional tools like SharePoint and email were insufficient. And all of these customers obviously solve these problems using Backbone Issue Sync for Jira, and in some cases, another app called Script Runner for Jira, and some combination of both. So we'll cover them in this webinar. And at the end, as I've said, we also have a Q&A session. Before we dive into the first story, just a short introduction about what K15T is. So K15T was founded in 2009. Last year, we turned 15. And our team is made up of about 60 people. We are headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany, but we have folks who work from all over the world, just like Lizette is working right now from the Netherlands. And we believe that Atlassian products are the perfect base for every team to collaborate effectively. But how do you get that information from those who need it the most, from your system to outside of your system? For example, your customers or partners or stakeholders. That's where we come in. So K15T helps teams turn their know-how into impact to enable their customers, partners, and more. So with our apps, we enable teams to take the knowledge in Confluence in Jira and share it with those who need it the most in the format that will have the most impact. Currently, we have about 85 or 8,700 plus customers worldwide and 24,000 active installations on Marketplace. And you can see some of our clients here, like BMW and Spotify and Atlassian. Today, we have 17 apps in our portfolio. The scroll apps, firstly, are the collection of Confluence apps that enable customers to manage, share, and publish the information from Confluence. And then we have Backbone Issue Sync for Jira, the one featured in this webinar, and that enable teams to better collaborate across Jira projects and instances by syncing Jira issues. Just another poll before we dive into the first story, so to check whether you were paying attention or not, and you're still awake or not. So, I would like to know, what method are you currently using or plan to use to collaborate across Jira instances in case you do have that challenge? So are you using pigeons? Like, are you using email? Are you emailing Jira issues? Or you are manually copy pasting Jira data across instances? That's a horseback system that I mentioned earlier. Or are you using any Jira automations or your custom made connectors? Some people use that. We'll see that in Arvato system story. And or are you adding partners onto your own Jira instance? Maybe you're already into the future and using some teleportation method like a Jira Sync app. So we have some responses already. Let's see. Matt is using Jira automation or script. Okay. So we were predicting it correctly. C&D for Dean. Interesting, Dean. I'll have to talk about more, like how do you use them, and what use cases are there. A lot of C's here, basically. A lot of people are using Jira automation. That's interesting. Another one person is using pigeons, apparently. So, so someone is using emails. Some people are also manually copy pasting it. Some Nicole is ABC. So all three of them covering all bases. Colin is PNC. Interesting. Benjamin is using CNF. Hopefully, yeah. Obviously, we know which app you're using, but you're also still using Jira automation. And Anthony is using a single instance, but much C on that instance. Okay. It has a single instance, but you're using some automations on it. Okay. Very interesting. Jordan is using CDE and Sam is using automations again. Very cool. So I guess we don't have more responses coming in. So I'll finally move into our first story. So as I mentioned, this is first story features Mick Daten für Arbeitung GmbH. Yes, managed it. It's a German company, as you can guess, and is a leading global customs and trade compliance software provider. It has more than 1,000 customers worldwide in about like 55 countries on 6 continents. And trade compliance is their game for hundreds of customers in a highly regulated industry. And they have about like 200 Jira projects in its Jira system. And the challenges they were facing were basically they have customers who need real-time customer support and updates on their projects. The projects are very time sensitive, as you can imagine, and they need foolproof and real-time communication about the status of customers' requests. So we'll go through the internal workflow of Mick. So a customer who's either working with Mick to implement the software within the company or to troubleshoot some software errors sends a request to their internal Jira instance. A ticket is created to serve service analysis or bug fixing in a Mick's internal Jira instance. Excuse me. And this is either resolved on the first level Jira instance, as usually is, or it's triaged and escalated to a second or third level support for further investigation and processing. Previously, Mick kept the customers updated on the status of the request by exporting tickets into Excel files and sending them as weekly updates via email. So the pigeon method. And however, this process became inefficient, as you can imagine. As the company scaled, there were a lot of delays and customers were frustrated about the lack of visibility and real-time updates. They evaluated a workaround by adding customers to their internal Jira instance, but they quickly realized there's a security risk involved because the development tickets and other tickets that shouldn't be seen could also be seen by those customers. In addition, the licensing cost would also rack up, obviously, because they need to buy additional seats to accommodate these customers. This workflow had to be scaled for hundreds of customers and up to 15 customer support teams. So that made it particularly more challenging. And Mick needed to find a solution to handle this complexity while also maintaining strict data privacy, because they work in a very well-regulated industry. Going back to analogy, as I mentioned, they were using pigeons and kind of horseback scribes for issue management. It is gonna be a recipe for disaster. So these were the requirements in summary: seamless communication between the customers, quicker collaboration, resolution of requests, timely implementation of scalable solutions, and all that without compromising the security and privacy of sensitive data. In 2019, the company changed its workflow and created a separate external Jira project for each customer. It's kind of a very unique setup, I guess. And the customers can access these projects, obviously, because they're dedicated projects for these customers. And all issues created in the company's internal Jira instance are then copied, or relevant issues basically are copied and kept on the customer sides as well. A common way is usually to have some Jira admin basically jump across the two different Jira instances and manually copy paste updates. But obviously this is time consuming and prone to errors. So Mick opted to use backbone issue sync to automate the process. So the customer support team now shares the relevant issues with customer facing Jira instances and their dedicated Jira instances at once using backbone issue sync for Jira. And all the synced Jira issues and data are kept in sync in real time. And any changes made by the customer or the support team, so either side, are automatically updated. This is another unique part of their solution. So, or their setup basically, they're using backbones behind the firewall sync solution. So this addresses their security concerns. So basically, all the Jira instances they've created for their customers, they're behind a firewall. So none of the data that shouldn't be seen by the customers can be accessed accidentally or by any malpractice. After connecting the two Jira instances with Backbone, employees can automatically copy and sync relevant tickets. For example, a user can add a label like customer request to a ticket, which a Jira label basically, which automatically syncs it to the other side in real time. And only that ticket in particular, and it doesn't sync any other issues. And this is done by using Backbone's JQL filter functionality. And this ensures that people can work on the request immediately without leaving their own instance, and all updates are automatically synced on both instances. Mick maintains complete control over their instance and also which Jira data to sync. For example, they can pick what type of projects to sync, or the cloud or data center, or what issue type. So it could bug task, subtask. It could. They also have the flexibility to pick which fields to sync. It could be custom fields as well. And as you can see, you can also sync workflows and comments and attachments. So this helps them further address the privacy and data security concerns. So they only sync the data that they want to sync and they need to sync. This was the backbone part of it. And there were some additional requirements for the workflow as well, where other marketplace apps come in. So for instance, Mick wants to extract additional information from customers, like when did this error occur? Or for example, the time of error or the type of instance, was it test or production? And for this, they require the customer to have add additional information by creating a mandatory field in the customer's side of Jira. Internally, Mick doesn't really need these fields or this data from day-to-day basis, but they could need it eventually or at some point in time in the future. So basically, they use another marketplace app called Script Runner for Jira to extract the information from the default Jira field description to the customer's Jira instance. This internal field is then synced with Mick's Jira instance using Backbone. So the info is collected in this case, in case it's needed in the future, but Mick doesn't need to change or disrupt their internal workflow or create any new custom fields within their Jira to accommodate this. Before we finish this, just a summary of what Mick really achieved from this. So they are syncing currently 44 plus projects, customer projects using Backbone for around 550 Jira users across 10 locations. And the biggest, they also obviously like across app compatibility. They can use Script Runner and Backbone in tandem very smoothly there. And the best thing about, in their words, not ours, is like it only took like 30 minutes for them to set it up, the whole configuration for a new customer. So they can really scale at speed and agility there. And this is a quote from one of the IT team lead there at MIC, how he really appreciated what Backbone did for them. Backbone has really become vital for MIC in managing complex customs and trade compliance software issues. And by enabling real-time issue syncing, MIC can provide superior services to its global customers by ensuring compliance and data security. Lizette is now gonna drop a link to the customer story in the chat, so you can read it in detail if you want. And that will be it from the story. And before we move into the next story, we'll have another poll just to wake everyone up. So what is the biggest problem you're facing right now when collaborating across Jira instances, or maybe within Jira as well? Do you think, is it like unnecessary cost of adding new agents, or is it miscommunication between the teams? Obviously, it could be a combination of some of them, or maybe all of them. I hope not. But it could be slow pace of work, poor team collaboration, could be complicated current solutions. Like if you're using a lot of automations and things, then could get very complicated sometimes. Brandy says it's miscommunication between teams and complicated current solutions. Okay. Okay, there we go. Dean is unfortunately facing the same problems as Brandy. Antonio has an additional problem, so it's slow pace of work. And Benjamin says solved by Backbone. That's good to hear. I thought, okay, he's still facing these problems while he's our customer. That's not good news. So A plus D, unnecessary cost, and poor inter-company collaboration. All problems start as people problems. Yes, Matt, we agree. You're very correct on that. Sean Doyle says miscommunication between teams and poor team collaboration and an additional problem of complicated current solutions. Quillen has basically every problem on the face of this earth. And B, C, D, E. I'm very sorry to hear that, Quillen. Jordan Richter has A and E, so unnecessary cost and complicated current solutions. And Ina has some unnecessary cost. So hopefully we can find a better solution for you, or you can figure it out by the end of this webinar. That's our hope and attempt. I guess I don't see any more responses there. So let's move on with the next story. Lizette, you want to take over?
Yes, I will. All right. Yeah, I will go into the second story of today, which is actually about Arvato Systems. And Arvato Systems is part of the Bertelsmann-owned Arvato Group and supports enterprises globally in their digital transformation. So they're a company of more than 3,000 employees with companies around the world in approximately 25 locations. And they mainly develop IT solutions and help customers transition to the cloud, integrate their digital processes, and manage their IT operations. And they partner with companies such as AWS, Google, Microsoft, and SAP to kind of leverage advanced technologies to basically enhance their customer experience. And Arvato Systems was already using Jira on Cloud and eventually also added Jira Service Management to their toolkit, basically to streamline their customer service. And this was a good move because it freed up some resources and budgets, leading to great results for the customer service. But as Arvato Systems then had dozens of internal Jira and JSM projects, the next challenge was to make sure that the collaboration still went smoothly between the customer support and their development teams. So to summarize that, they wanted to find a better way to collaborate across departments, working on different Jira projects. And meanwhile, they also wanted to avoid using Jira automation or middleware software as much as possible. So let's have a look into their internal workflow. So they had multiple support teams, often working on a single product. And the customer support team received the feature requests and bug reports on their JSM projects from internal teams at Bertelsmann. And usually, level 1 support could resolve these queries within JSM. but other queries needed escalation to second or third level support from the more senior development teams working in their separate Jira projects. And the main challenge was keeping this information between these Jira and JSM projects up to date so that all the teams had the right information at all times. What they initially did to accomplish this is they manually copied updates across projects by jumping across the Jira instances. But this was time consuming, also labor intensive, and quite error prone. And besides that, they had to buy additional JSM agent licenses for these users who can then manually copy paste and update issues, which increase the subscription fees in the end. And besides this manually updating, they also tried various other solutions to establish this collaboration. So they tried Jira automation rules and customer connector or middleware. However, they soon realized that Jira automation was quite hard to maintain with the risk of errors and losing data. And the custom middleware or connector software cost a lot to build, was time intensive, and wasting a lot of resources. So this is where Backbone came into the picture for Arvato. They used Backbone to connect the JSM and Jira projects and use that to triage only the relevant issues using the JQuery filters. So kind of what Umar also showed before. They can pick and choose which issue types, custom fields, comments, attachments, and workflows to sync. So they remain in complete control over what data they synced. And for comment syncing, Backbone also allows choosing between internal and public comments, a feature coming in very handy for Arvato systems, so they could only sync what they really wanted to sync. And this was so much so the case for them that they reported to have up to 96% savings in time spent on setting up these configurations for collaboration on syncing issues. And this for their more than 3,000 Jira users across the 25 plus locations worldwide. They've been a pretty happy customer for a while now from Backbone for over 5 years, with over 60 syncs created using Backbone. And to wrap it up, here's a quote from Stuart White, senior consultant at Arvato Systems. Training a single pigeon to carry messages between your Jira castles, that'll take you weeks, and they'll probably unionize and demand more breadcrumbs. With Backbone, you're up and running in half a day. Okay, he didn't actually say that, that would have been nice, but still his quote is pretty powerful and probably something along the same lines. In the end, Backbone proves significantly faster, easier, and also cheaper to set up for Arvato. So all the different features in Backbone ensure that Jira issues are always up to date, accurate, and helping them deliver more value to their customer. And in the end, that's what it's all about. So Uma will drop the link to the Arvato system custom story in the chat, so you can also read that in more detail. And before we move to the last story, just time for a quick poll. So basically, feel free to drop in the chat what use case you'd like to solve when you think about collaborating across Jira projects or instances. So that could be to improve your agile project management, like connecting Jira to Jira projects. Maybe it's also about improving your ITSM, so connecting JSM to Jira or JSM to JSM, kind of what we talked about just now. Maybe it's connecting despite strict security protocols, or maybe it's connecting behind firewalls, what Umar talked about in the first use case. Just gonna open the chat. And I see A and B, so Agile Project Management, ITSM. So for all ITSM, Agile, all of them, that's also really good. Matt has some strict security policies to work with. It's cool. B. Jordan says all as well. Interesting. Umar sharing the link again. That's also good to see. And also Anthony with Agile and ITSM. All right. And I see another one for Agile and ITSM. So we just covered ITSM. And I'll talk a bit more about the Agile use case as well. Umar already covered the behind the firewall, but at the end, I'll also tell a little bit more about connecting even though you can't install apps on an instance. So with that, let's go to the third and final use case, which is about Kumavision. And as mentioned before, Benjamin is here. He's working at Kumavision, and I hope I'm not messing up the name the whole time. I got some feedback from my German colleagues about it, so I hope it's okay. So if you have any questions about this use case, feel free to also add that in the chat for Benjamin. But yeah, Kumavision is a recent Atlassian solution partner and one of the world's largest Microsoft business solution partners. And they have built a reputation for digitizing business processes for their clients by offering ERP solutions and consulting for more than 25 years. And they specialize in implementing a sophisticated ERP system on their customer systems. And with a large client base and a lot of simultaneous projects to manage, efficient communication and real-time project visibility are crucial. They have over 150 ongoing customer projects each year, serving 2,500 clients. The company scaled to a point where they needed a better way to communicate in real time with clients and work in a more agile way while maintaining data security. So, to work with our clients, previously Kumavision relied on SharePoint and Excel sheets sent via email to track project information. This approach, however, led to several issues. With the first one, as you could maybe imagine, data silos. So information was scattered across multiple platforms, making access and client sharing difficult. This manual approach also caused communication delays, so real-time updates were absent, leading to miscommunication and delays. And lastly, sometimes also some information loss, so some important details were frequently lost in email chains. So what they did to streamline their operations is that Kumavision adopted Jira and Jira Service Management. They migrated all their existing project data from SharePoint and email chains into a centralized Jira cloud instance. But now the question was, how do we get this information to the customer? There was a discussion on whether Kumavision should add every customer to their internal Jira. However, it became apparent that this was impractical due to the higher costs, as it meant upgrading to a higher Jira license tier, but also security was a considerable concern, as Kumavision didn't want to share all their issues with every customer. Or, as Karsten, he's the head of project management office, tells, they had 600 plus customers at that time, and giving all of them access to Jira would have meant thousands of dollars worth additional cost in a higher tier license. Too expensive and risky in terms of data security. Therefore, what Kumavision did was they created dedicated Jira projects for each of their customers. And these projects serve as the single source of truth for ongoing support and collaboration, ensuring efficient issue resolution while maintaining data privacy. And all these individual Jira projects are then synced with Kumavision's internal Jira instance using Backbone Issue Sync. So as Karsten puts it again, with Backbone, we could maintain a single source of truth. We share real-time project updates, track progress, and collaborate seamlessly, all while keeping our customer data secure. So how did Backbone become Kumavision's secret weapon here? So using Backbone's import and export feature, Kumavision can set up projects really quickly. Customers can promptly add development requests and receive real-time updates on project specifications, schedules, budgets, time sheets, kind of removing the need for email threads or outdated spreadsheets. Most importantly, maybe, Backbone Issue Sync enabled seamless collaboration without requiring the extra cost of additional Jira licenses. And all these factors combine to enable scalability of the setup using the Agile project management principles. And this quote here by Karsten also underlines this. So, over the years, Kumavision has used Backbone Issue Sync to streamline their project management and offer a better experience to their clients. And they've become so adept at using Atlassian products and marketplace app that they've also recently joined the ecosystem as an Atlassian Silver solution partner. And so they're now also offering consultancy services to their internal customers. And Umar will again drop the link to the customer story in the chat. So feel free to read on if you're interested in that. And of course, as mentioned, Benjamin is also here. So if in the end you have any questions for him, just let us know. And before we go into the Q&A, I'll just want to wrap this up and mention that we saw in these stories by our customers that Backbone offers easy to scale and flexible solutions. And offering that to the customer is part of Backbone's larger effort to align with the needs of enterprises. This is, as we know, enterprises can have more complex setups, different needs and requirements. And one part of this effort is our unique offering to our customers to sync without installing an app. So the collaborating across two instances using an app works great. But what if your sync partner can't install Backbone or any other marketplace for that matter on their instance? This could be because your partner had strict IT policies and regulations, and installing an app is just not an option, or they have a limited budget and can't afford other apps, or maybe you're dealing with a large organizations and they prefer not to install new software and change their workflows for smaller partners. Whatever the reason is, this is where Backbone's unique remote licensing option comes in, which allows them to sync Jira instances with partners, even if they can't install Backbone on both sides. And this remote license has the advantage of a simplified management. So basically only one installation of Backbone is required, reducing the administrative overhead. You don't need to depend on the sync partner anymore, and the security restrictions and app installation policies. You don't need to wait for their approval, it's all managed in one site. Same goes for cost efficiency. All costs are in one place, meaning no need to convince the other party to allocate budget or wait for that. It's still quick deployment, so it's easy to set up and start syncing with the full functionality of Backbone using just an XML file. And still, it's also security compliant, so allows syncing across Jira instances in an encrypted and secure way, even when these strict security protocols prevent installing apps on both sides. So, in short, the remote license offers full functionality of a regular marketplace license, but allows you the flexibility to sync issues with your synchronization partner without installing Backbone on their instance. And for the remote license, you need to contact your partner or the Backbone team, as it's not accessible through the marketplace. And we already have 9 partners, some of who are here today, who have already sold these remote licenses. And Uma will drop a link in the chat to where you can find some more information about this remote license. And in addition to the remote license on cloud, we had multiple other additions designed to cater for enterprise needs. For example, last year, Backbone became the first Jira Sync app to introduce data residency. And data residency means Backbone users on Jira Cloud can choose to store their data in the US, Germany, or the EU. Next to data residency, we've also last year introduced a new sync mode called the review mode. And in the review mode, all updates made to the configuration need to be accepted by both you and the partner. So this gives you full control over what data, for instance, which issues, which fields are getting synced. So basically nothing goes live without you knowing about it and accepting it. And to round it off, some of these other efforts to be enterprise ready include our data encryption, GDPR compliance, Backbone's participation in the Atlassian Cloud Fortified and Bug Bounty programs, and also the ISO certification. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Umar, where it's time for another poll.
Thank you very much. That's that. Yeah, let me just share my screen real quick. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So yeah, just time for some harsh truth feedback. On a scale of 1 to 5, because we all are very learned audience here tonight, so it's really good feedback for us. Like, how much did you actually learn, or like have more information added to your skill set about how to collaborate across Jira instances? I like to see more 4s and 5s, and we are seeing some. And no, please don't add 1s, because it's late and we work really hard on this. But obviously, you can be honest with us about it. Benjamin, okay, we'll ask you about this one. Yeah. Next time you send us a support
That's right.
ticket, then we'll hold you accountable for this one.
Yeah, we should screenshot this.
Okay, so I see a lot of 4s and 5s and some 3s as well. So that's really good feedback for us. Some room for improvement, obviously, it shows. So yeah, thank you very much.
I think it was very good. Thank you, Umar and Lizette. This shows us the power of specific tools, especially tools like Backbone Issue Sync that allow this. And I'm really actually, Lizette, I do need to get back with you. I want to go over that remote tool. I think that's a phenomenal thing, and I really want to kind of deep dive into that. But yeah, thank you both for the wonderful presentation. Again,
for the opportunity.
Ben, thank you for joining us. And more importantly, thank you to all our friends and folks that have joined us. I want to thank you, all the other ACE chapters that have joined, Houston, Chicago, Little Rock, Milwaukee, Sherbrooke, Canada. We've had a lot of great participation, and we appreciate all of you, and we want this to really just kind of become a great community event. And we're here to help one another and to make sure that we all win whatever we're achieving. So yeah, thank you from my side as well for attending another great app hour, and more importantly, thank you to K15T for the great products and the amazing presentation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any last minute questions for anyone, or
we'll open the floor for questions if anybody has some. You can ask Lizette and I, and Benjamin's also on the call in case you have questions about his use case. You can type it down or open your mic and just ask. It's either way.
Do you think you're going to be opening the remote sync to the marketplace at some point, or what's the strategy with partners? Why partners first? Is this to kind of give us the back end guidance to where this needs to kind of flow, or from a licensing perspective?
The remote license is more from a technical perspective, that at the moment it's like a separate licensing thing. Who knows, maybe at some point, but at the moment it doesn't make sense to upload it there.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm dying to see it in action.
Yeah, we should definitely have that call.
There's usually an FAQ, like we usually get asked, is there a number of limit, or is there a limit to number of issues or projects that can be synced?
Oh, okay.
As far as I know, there's none, but Lizette, can you back me up?
No, in general, you can sync as many projects as you want once you have Backbone installed. And also there's no limit in the number of issues.
Nice.
And what happens if the sync fails? Which sometimes happens, because they happen.
Dozens of every now and then.
Yeah.
I mean, in case it does happen, what you can do, you can set up notifications so that you get a message in your email box, at least, to notify yourselves on it. Also, on the issue itself, you can see that there's an error, so you know that your issues won't get synced anymore. And then we have an in-app troubleshooting. So here the error will actually be displayed together with some help link and some actions you can take to resolve it. And if that all is not enough, then of course always support is available as well.
And as far as permission schemes, we can, is there a way to kind of lock this down to specific roles or groups as far as setting up backbone issue sync and allowing, the various transfers?
Yeah, so in general, all project admins have access to Backbone to set up a configuration. If you want to limit that more, then your admins can also restrict it further to certain user groups who can only access the configurations.
Nice. Thank you. Other questions? Let's stump Lizette. That's the name of this game,
Yeah,
right?
let's try. Yeah, it's
I
a
will,
hard game, Dean. I've been here for 3 years. Yeah.
I would like to add to that permission thing. It's a good thing to set up the permissions just for admins, because users that don't know what they are doing, that really hassled us at the start. So
Yeah,
just a hint from me. Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Maybe one more question that we usually get is like the pricing model, because sometimes it's not very obvious. So is it per user, per project, or volume based? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, we follow the same as basically for any marketplace app, that it's based on the user tier of the instance. And the remote license is similar-ish, just the user tiers are a bit bigger, so we don't specify per 1, 2, 3 users, but we have bigger blocks of users. But the regular app is based on user tier, and once you have it, as said, you can sync to as many projects, many issues. Basically, you can do what you want with it.
Is there a limit at which throttling occurs if the syncing becomes too much?
I mean, depends a little bit on if you're on data center or on cloud. I mean, on data center, we have a little bit less impact on what your data center can handle, of course. On cloud, I guess the good thing, so to say, is in case there's a Jira overload, or in case your Jira goes offline, or in case those things happen, then Backbone won't just discard the update, but it will throw an error in your troubleshooting, and then you can retry it again after a while.
Nice.
Yep.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Other than that, yeah.
I would like to add something as well, because I think the possibilities of Backbone didn't shine through. What concerns us most is how much you're able to configure something, to narrow it down to specific cases, and Backbone is really good at it. We can define what conditions should be met to be synced. So we have issue types that are getting synced. We have issue types that we use internally, and everything works together, and you can specify it in the configuration. I don't know. If you want to see the configuration, I think you got some screenshots of it on your website, Lizette and Uma, and it's really mighty. You can configure nearly everything. You can configure if internal comments are synchronized, and many possibilities. I can't tell them all to you, but we use it in different cases. We use it internally, we use it externally, we use it on external instances we use for testing, and we have different configurations, and every configuration can fit for specific cases. So check it out if you want to.
Nice. Thank you. All right, folks, if there's no other questions, Uma or Lizette, any last words?
No, thank you. That's all from my side. And
again, thank you to our friends at K15T for this great presentation. Thank you all to the community itself. Again, remember, this is all for us to kind of better our day-to-day existence. And Ben, thanks for coming in and representing Kumavision. That was awesome. So all of you have a wonderful day, and if you have any questions, by all means, please reach out to the amazing people at K15T. They're here for us, and they would love to help you in whatever capacity you need. Again, thanks all for joining another great app hour, and I hope to see everyone at our next one. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.